To get access to everything in here, the first thing we need to do is remove all of the trim along the top of the windscreen frame. To do that, and obviously I've got everything off at the moment, but I'll just walk you through exactly what we're going to do. You'll have the convertible hook and the lighting here. The first thing you want to do is just get a pry tool underneath the corners here of the lighting and pry those down, and that will just pop straight off. There are 4 clips on the inside of that. They're easily released. There's a single electrical connection. You can just disconnect that. Then you'll have the convertible hook. There will be 3 M6 screws. Disconnect those and then lower that down. There'll be a single electrical connection in there. That one can just rotate around like that to disconnect that and install and plonk it back down underneath there. And then we need to remove the trim along here. To remove that trim, the first thing we need to do is remove the visors. The visors have a couple of connections. There's the visor in there, and there's going to be one, and this one's been broken unfortunately by the people who used to own this car. But that's going to be sitting up there like that. And the way you get access to it, because it's got a little cover over the top of it, there is the far bit is curved, and that's the bit you need to get your fingernail underneath and unclip that and rotate that down, and it'll just pivot down, and then you get access to the screw. Remove that. That stays with the visor because it's hard clipped to it. And then at the other end, this will be up in here, you'll need to remove the trim that sits over the top of that. Just get a pry tool underneath that and unclip that. That just pops straight off. There'll be 2 screws there. They take 10 Newton meters on install, and then that whole thing will lower down. And then you'll be left with this, which sits up there like that. There'll be a single screw up there that you'll need to remove, and then the thing just pulls down. And what's holding this place is a guide pin there, which isn't really grabbing on anything, but there's a big lug there, which sits in a hole there, which you need to remove it from. So when we're pulling that down, when it's sitting there like that, this will sort of be loose like that, but just work your way along here and unclip that out of there. There'll be the corresponding bit on the other side, which slots into there like that, but they just pull apart easily the moment you remove one, and then you can go to the other side and disconnect that. To remove the trim around the mirror, we're going to remove this piece here first, and then the one behind here on the mirror. This has 4 clips, one there, and up the front here that need to be removed. The best way I find to do this is just with a plastic pry tool. Come in from the side next to the windscreen. You don't want to stick it in too far because it'll hook underneath the plastic bit which is connected to the windscreen that this is going to clip into. Just a little bit underneath there, and just pull that down. And then at the front, it's going to separate into 2 pieces. Generally speaking, I'm just going to do the left-hand one first, and then rotate the mirror and pull that one out there. And with the piece at the back here, and it's pretty hard for me to show you, but I'm going to shove it. There are 3 slots, and I'll show you in a minute exactly what it is, but there are 3 slots. I'm going to put it in the middle one, and I'm going to lever it left, and I'll show you why in a minute while we do that. That's going to open the thing up, and then if it's still connected, I'm going to shove it in a little bit further, and then lever it left again, and then the thing will come apart. So it's going to be sitting there like that when it's installed, and you can see there are the round bits there that go onto the lugs here. They just clip together. And on the other side, when it's installed, you can see those 3 holes there. It's the middle one that we want to put our screwdriver through, and I'm going to lever that left. And what that does is it pulls the right-hand one rearwards and pushes the left-hand one forwards to open it up. If you try and do it the other way, like you rotate it right, it just locks it even further. So you want to move your screwdriver to the left, and then if it's still connected by those few more clips, you just put your screwdriver down there, and it opens up like that, and it pops open. And to install the trim around the mirror, put the far one behind the mirror in first. It just clips together. And the next one these just clip together like that, but we're going to do it one at a time after we put it behind here, and then it just gets pushed up into place. There are those 4 clips, and there's a locating pin. This one's had this one broken off on this side, but looking underneath here, locate where that needs to go. There's a rubber grommet, circular one there that this needs to slot up into, and then you just push it up in place. I always find these are really, really tight, so if I pull it out for the first time, I'm always going to put a little bit of grease on these so it makes it much simpler next time. I've got everything removed, but this is going to show it a little bit more easily what's going on with your rear view mirror. The rain sensor would be in there, and you've got those little pressure points on this clip here that will press on that as it gets fitted. But you can see there are 4 little prongs here that when we initially put them in, we're going to slot those into these gaps around here, and then we're going to rotate it around there so that clip, for example, the one that was there, will be up inside here. And the best way I've found to do that is to have the mirror sort of pulled all the way down, so it's pointing down, slot them into there, like that. You won't be able to see this. But then grab hold of the mirror and use that as your leverage to then go and click it into place. To remove it, it's exactly the same thing. Is I'm going to obviously remove it counterclockwise, and I'm just going to use the mirror and use that as my leverage to twist it off, and it just pops straight off. When you initially disconnect it, there's going to be 2 things connected. There's going to be a ground wire there, which you can disconnect. Also, and it's been cut off on this one, I'm assuming from someone who's changed the windscreen, there is a little cord here which connects the rear view mirror to the windscreen, and it's hanging up here. And the idea of that is when this falls off, it just sort of dangles down to here somewhere and doesn't fall down. So the sequence of events, once you get to this position here to remove everything, if the rain sensor just falls down like that, I'm just going to pull that out like that and then just disconnect the cable there. However, if it stays there and it's stuck to it and I don't want to remove it, then I'm going to leave it in place. I'm going to remove the GSM antenna first, so by pushing that forward, rotating that down, and then we can pull it out of all of those clips. I can then pull the cord out of the rain sensor if I want, and then I can remove the GPS antenna there. This one here is your GSM antenna, or the one for your mobile phone, and it gets slotted up in underneath here. The way it fits in is that these tabs there go in underneath these things here, so over the top of that, and then this slides up in here, and it's impossible for me to show you, but up in here there's a little thing that will push into that little slot there. So you're going to slot it in there, then lift it up into the right spot, and then pull it rearward, and you'll have to wiggle it back and forth a little bit to slot into the right spot. And the way you tell that it's in correctly is when you try and pull it down, it won't come down. And when you put the cord in, the cord's going to go on the other side of that one there. So push it forward, slot it up, wiggle it back and forth until you can't pull it down. And then this cord here, there's a clip at the front there, and then it's going to go into some clips down the side there. And again, they will just sit up there like that. There's a slot up in there where they go up into. To remove the GSM antenna, you just need to push that forward a little bit, give it a bit of a wiggle, and then it will just come straight down. You can pull it out of those clips and then press the tab there to disconnect, and that'll just come straight out. The GPS antenna here, the way to disconnect that, there's that white tab. You pull that rearwards and then you press down on it, and then that can be disconnected. Obviously when you connect that together, you need to push that forward to lock that in place so it doesn't come out. And when it goes up into this spot here, there are 2 clips that it needs to go under. You're going to slot it under here, and there's a clip there, and there's a clip under the back there that it needs to go underneath. And that should sit under there nice and securely. That cord will rotate forward and sit about there somewhere. To remove the GPS antenna, those 2 clips, one there and one at the top there, they're the ones that you need to release. So just generally grab hold of the cord so you can pull on something, release that one there, and then the one over there, and then that just comes out. The rain sensor for the rain sensing wipers lives there. The cord for that is that one, which is connected to there. If you want to just remove that, then you can. But that goes down in there and slots down in that hole there. To pull this out, so it's going to be sitting in here like this. If it's free and it's just going to fall out, then you can pull it out that way and disconnect it, and then that can just pull straight out. Or if the sensor is stuck there like that and isn't going to fall down, you can just pull it out like that and it'll just stay in place. For the rain sensor, it has one of those clear, soft sort of rubber pads on top of it. This is an old one. Clearly someone had been in here before, because this was just dangling and it's old and it's just covered in crud, etc. I expect someone has changed a windscreen and they haven't really secured this properly. So you can buy these. I think they're a typical Audi pad, and they're like this teardrop shape like that, which goes on there. And to fit those, you basically just stick it to it and then push it up and hard against it, and it's the pressure from the rear view mirror mounting onto there that holds everything in place.